And there we are back with the 6th of April. So we had the 4th of April, the 5th of April. Now we're taking the 6th of April just to show you consecutive days in a row. So you see it's not like random cherry-picked examples. No, it's like back to back to back to back every day, right? Of course, that was the same. So as we learned and as we should know by now, again, this is the day where it starts. So this is one full day from technically Asia Open all the way to the day ends, right? So again, if you're choosing the 5-minute chart, this whole picture right here on the M5, right? This is one full day in the M5 chart. So that's how we analyze the intraday perspective every single day in one picture, just right there. So we have our Asia range, right? We have our timing, as you already can see, Frankfurt Open. Did you know this picture already? When Frankfurt Open induces to the absolute minute, Asia low, and then of course takes out Asia high. Do you know this picture already? You should definitely know it by now, right? And of course, now we're going into more details and to break it even more down as we did earlier with the simplicity approach. So the first question we have to ask ourselves to analyze the intraday basis, again, now we're just doing it in hindsight to get you a good feeling for it, is where are the build-ups? Okay, so if you just take a look at it, I will give you a few speckles so you can test it out yourself. You should already see a few though, and that's very, very important to get used to, then to train your eye about seeing the build-ups right away, because those will be the most important aspect to identify all the other steps. So start always with the build-ups, channel build-ups, trend build-ups, whatever else, like the sideways build-ups, equal highs, equal lows, all that stuff. That's all you need. Like that's the best ones there is, right? So let's bring some light into the tunnel. Where are the build-ups? Boom, right here. And as we know, first factory approach, first simplicity approach, boom, right there. We always start with the same stuff. So build-ups. Okay, so the day opens right here. So we have this nice, crazy ass channel build-up. Why is this blue? Because it's considered a bigger channel, right? And of course, as you can see, this bigger channel getting induced when? Boom, right here. So if you extend this right here, it's getting induced to the high side, right? Of course, that's why they can go lower. And that is the inducement for the day. That's our perfect Mona Lisa inducement of Frankfurt Open to the minute, 8 AM UTC +2, right? Again, you should have changed your MetaTrader, if you cannot really change that, but your trading view settings to UTC +2 time, right on the bottom right corner. You should see like your time. Just change that to Berlin, whatever, or whatever UTC +2 city you want to choose, but always them in Germany, so I choose Berlin, my time anyways, and that's why you based our timings on it as well, right? Perfect. Okay, so anyways, we can see that they induce the channel high side. Okay, perfect. We see the next channel, like on this sideways channel building up here, equal highs and equal lows. Okay, perfect. Obviously, we see induced on both directions. Okay, but we see the bigger picture first. Induced high this channel, so we have a good understanding. It should go lower, and then obviously huge. What is these candles? Name vector candles. Exactly. Very important to understand. Then the next channel build up. So, and again, a very good trick at the beginning here. Choose if it's like not clean from the lower side. Choose the clean one to the high side in here, where you're just connecting obviously the wicks in here, and then just mirror this trend line to the downside to see where the channel actually would make sense, right? And how you do it, you just put this line on your trading view. Just press Control and take it and drag it, boom, and then it just mirrors perfectly downwards. Okay, that helps you to make these channels a lot more accurate. And you will also notice that these channels are most of the time very parallel. So what a funny coincidence that is, right? So then as you already can see, okay, we have this channel in here, mirror this to the downside, boom, got induced to low side. So where do we head for? Higher, away from this inducement, right? Okay, perfect. Obviously, that's our Mona Lisa inducement in here. And then, of course, we aim for Asia high in here. And what do they do in the process? Giving us the next channel, and look what they end the channel with. Again, you see now here a wick on hindsight, but guess what? On the edge, this was a solid candle like this. So think about that. What is it called? Of course, vector candle, right? Perfect. Then we have the next build-ups in here. Tricky one to see a little bit, right? Perfect still. And of course, next build-up in here. Again, as you can see, we don't pull something out of ours here. No, we don't do that, right? Okay, so only if it's clean, we're having a clean build-up. Sideways action, right? And of course, we see the equal lows here, even triple bottoms in here, right? And of course, this is a news event, whatever it was. Maybe don't remember what day it was, but could be no NFP. Shouldn't be NFP because it's a little bit way too late, because we can see this is London close or whatever. What news event that might have been, right? Okay, perfect. But that's actually a news event, and of course, it induces this bigger picture channel. They build up like crazy, and of course, induces this channel as well. Perfect stuff. Okay, so what is the next thing that should follow? If you look at our factory, and the only thing that should follow after that is, of course, we have to get used to the inducements. Perfect. So where are the inducements? Again, if you identify your build-ups, you will have a very easy time to get used to the inducements and how they should look like. Okay, a few of them are a little bit more hidden, but let's bring some light into it. Boom. Okay, so next approach, as you can see, is our inducement factory. Perfect. So guess what? The inducements induce, of course, the build-ups. So, and then again, a very helpful thing to also do sometimes, use these little structure points in here and here, whatever, and here, to get also a good feeling about the inducement should induce structure. That's why we're not structure traders, we're obviously cycle traders, and only after that we take a look at structure specific points. Obviously we digged into it already with a few examples to get a way better feeling for the market and a way more confirmed picture, right? But as you can see, the structure points getting induced all the time, right? So we have this bigger channel, right? Extended all the way until here. Induced it, just baby structure induced in here, but obviously couldn't induce this channel clearer, right? Then the next one, equal highs, equal lows, next structure point, boom, getting induced. Then of course induces this equal highs to the high side, right? But we have to understand now the combination of those two, right? This was the inducement of the bigger picture channel. Right, of course, now we have, of course, having an inducement low, but now we're having this build up in here, inducing it to the high side one more time and staying inside, of course, in this bigger picture inducement. And of course, our direction would be short until the next inducement happens, Asia low to the absolute minute Frankfurt open, right? 5 minutes off. So not to the minute. Oh my God, 5 minutes off. What a surprise. Then we have the next channel induced to a low side. Structure point getting induced, of course, to go higher, right? Then, of course, next channel build up, vector candle inducing it to the high side. We have to look to the left also, what's going on in there. If a mitigation would have made sense there, or an inducement. So let's say just having equal highs in here, right? Of course, that should be induced. If we have something like whatever, like some sort of liquidity build up in here, that's an inducement in here. And that left some imbalances. Of course, that could make perfect sense for mitigation here. Then we can even run limit orders later on as well. We will dig into it. But of course, in these extreme entries, like or whatever, these external inducements, of course, you have to check the left also. But as we're just focusing on intraday trading right now, that's for now not that important. Okay, but of course, be aware that if you have like a 4-hour zone, a POI in here, and that taps into here, of course, you should understand the cycle being completed as the build-up, inducement, then into mitigation, right? Then you still can wait for confirmations, right? Let's say internal breakout structures in a 1 minute, and then, of course, enter it somewhere in here. That's all possibilities, but we will obviously dig into that when we dig into how to trading that stuff, okay? But for now, train your eye about seeing these build-ups and the inducements. Next build-up, obviously 1, 2, 3 touches. You just mirror it down again to see the nice channel. course, getting induced into what? You should already know what that is. Perfect stuff. Away from what? Perfect, right? So again, you're trading away from the inducement, having a build up inducement into what? Right, you should know already what's going on here. And then, of course, bigger picture, breakout structures after the inducement and this one. Okay, so this also would be a valid zone to take. And of course, news happen in here. So yeah, if you took this trade, for example, or this one, that will end up in break even. Of course, that's why news can be a little bit more dangerous, but guess what? Is it still perfectly aligning with our cycles? Yes, if we have the bigger buildup, right? Of course, that induces the bigger buildup in here to the downside, of course, like this huge channel. Of course, just mirror it down. And what a surprise. The news induce this bigger channel to do what? Of course, go lower and induce the next structure point, and then goes for the extreme mitigation in here. All right, happens very, very late. So you're not too interested in that anyways. Okay. So as we now know where the inducements are, again, what's the only thing you should focus on actually? All right. So what's the only thing you should do? Very good. Relevant break of structure. So we add a new factory in here soon, right? Again, that's the only thing we do. We wait for the inducements and then wait for the relevant break of structure. And let's do that. So where are the relevant break of structures? Again, that can be a little bit tricky to identify, but let's dig into it. Boom. Okay. So right here. So of course, we have this overall little build-up inside this bigger inducement, right? So this is the final inducement high. And of course, we understand this is the inducement of this channel. We want to go lower. So this is the final inducement. That is the candle that led to the new inducement high, right? So even on the 5 minute, of course, on the 1 minute would be way more clearer. But on the 5 minute even, again, this push has to be broken. It did. Perfect. And then leads to the inducement low side. Again, this one. This is the whole push that led to it. So again, depending on how you see it, or maybe on the 1 minute, you could say, yes, on the 1 minute, this is your push, your pullback that led to the inducement. Perfect. And you can also use this on the 1 minute if you want to do so. But just for staying on 5 minute, again, this whole push right here. So you could take it from here on. Okay, that's also good to go. But that's just a very high approach, right? And of course, next one, this is the inducement. Was led to the inducement right here, right? So you can take this one as well, right? So that's the next inducement break of structure point in here. Obviously validates this zone. If that would have tapped in here, perfect entry, but I just didn't mock it up in here because it clearly missed, right? And of course, we have this whole channel builder with the inducement. So again, technically, this is the push that led to the inducement high. And the moment it breaks here, that's your break of structures, relevant break of structures, and that reactivates or activates this zone for later on, right? Perfect stuff. Or again, depending on how you see it, this is definitely the better one right here. Or you can wait for all the way the extreme one. But of course, that's just the pessimistic example like we did in here. But just to show you like very clean examples again, but the better ones, of course, this one. And this one right here as well, okay? To reactivate or activate this zone. Missed it here. Activate this zone. Right, perfect. Okay, but of course, you can choose the extreme break of structures as well, just to get a feeling for it, and that would be here and here. Then we have the next inducement right here. That's the push that led to the inducement getting broken right here. So of course, this gives us the relevant break of structure in here. Or again, as we did it earlier, you can choose this one as well. So just to give you a few variations, but of course you have to stick to something at some point. So you either can wait for the extremes all the time, like we did here and here, or you can choose the more optimistic approach and choose this one and this one, right? But that's obviously something we'll have to do further on all the time because that gives you the entries on the edge. Okay, perfect. So of course, after we had this inducement high, break of structure, boom, relevant break of structure, and that activates, of course, this zone. Always in hindsight now, easy stuff. But on the edge, obviously, this solid candle breaks this Candle in here wasn't here, so there was imbalance from here to here. Fills immediately, boom. Stop loss goes above here later on, and then shoot it down. Perfect. Okay. Or anyways, the next build-up, of course, is in here. Induces low, and then of course this is not a. This technically would have been a break of structure, right? Right here. And then as you can see, before the news events, it even taps into this activated zone with this wick and then tubes into your news. But as it's news, you should stay away from it. That's why you should have your news open to see when it's going to happen. And then this one is definitely a very obvious inducement. And that would be break of structure of that one right here. Right, so this is the push that led to all this inducement. Or you can use this one also. Getting broken in here. Perfect. But before that even, we have this inducement now, low side. Perfect. Based on this equal lows. Getting induced the structure in here. Right, so if you look closely, and that's where details come into place. If you're just having this push to this push, there's no possible break of structure. But guess what? It gives a push high. And this push made a new low. So now, again, we can take this point as this made a new low. Again, if this push would have stayed short of it like this, then we can't take this, right? But as this push in here made a new low, that is the push that led to the new low. So this is the break of structure point, and then this zone gets activated for imbalances right here. Okay, makes sense? Lovely. So let's see next factory approach, which is, of course, the mitigations. So where are the mitigations? It should be very, very clean to you right now. Okay, so we're adding the next factory approach. Boom. And we can see now these clean mitigations, right? So this inducement, of course, we're not interested in this in London, in Asia, of course, right? And inducement low. Technically, yes, break of structure high, right? But obviously inducement. So technically, if we have this one, this zone in here, after it induces to the high side, becomes a small money trap later on, right? But would be valid. For example, if you see this push break of structure, getting break of structure here, right? Perfect. If it gives a reaction in here, then you can take it until it takes out these points. Okay, that's what we covered with the momentum mitigation, right? So always be aware when these zones get invalidated. Same thing in here, right? So let's say you missed that on the M5 and didn't see this as a break of structure. And here again, in 1 minute should be very clean, right? And then of course, you maybe saw this one as a break of structure. Of course, this zone gets invalidated as an SMT after this huge inducement down there. But same scenario, if it breaks this zone, didn't take out Asia low, but whatever even creates double bottoms in here, then comes back. Of course, now you can trade this into the inducement. And that's one of my favorite trades. But as in this example, we already took out Asia low. This gets invalidated in here as we had an inducement now. And then it comes back, maybe fakes a small money trap. As you see in here, it gives the fake reaction. Of course, that's what small money traps do. But guess what is the reaction is for? To induce this channel to the low side. Inducement, boom, gives the break of structure, right? So if you marked it up like this in here, again, this push led to the inducement, gets broken, and then again, you can activate this zone for buy trades. But as you can see here, it just got missed in here. That's why I didn't mark it up, right? But of course, this is definitely valid to take. Next build up, inducement high. Again, we talked about it where technically you want to have your break of structures. This one is definitely the more effective one, or you take the extreme one in here. Let's say you took this one. After it gets broken, this immediately activates this zone because we have clear imbalances, right? Perfect. Then we have this break of structure low, but obviously an inducement low also, so we can trade it into it. So that's where the hedging or the intraday mastery comes in place, as we understand, okay, this is technically the bigger picture break of structure, but also an inducement of this channel, right? Of course, perfect to low side, boom, gives imbalances after break of structure, so we can take it to the buy side as well, but obviously we dig into that at some point. as you already can see maybe what this is also, right? So we will have some more confluences in here, what that is, but just to give you a quick hint, we have an Asia range, we have an Asia range midline, right? So that's definitely always good for these very juicy pullback trades into the next cycle build up. Again, we had this zone activated based on this break of structure, or even this one, depending on what you want to use one. Of course, you should stick to this one. All right, imbalance zones, build up, inducement. When does it happen? Only to the absolute minute in New York trap time. What a surprise, right? And of course, build up getting induced. We wait for this one now. Break of structure activates this zone. That's your next possible entry. Boom. He makes order flow entries, low lows, activates this zone. Perfect. Taps into that as well. And of course, we have the news plays in here, right? Before the news, we had this mini cycle build up, inducement of the structure point. Then this break of structure in here, right? And then guess what? Never had inducement high until it actually tapped into here. See this wick? Look closely. Before the news, 1 minute before the news, or 5 minutes before the news, fills this zone. After we had this, perfect. Tubes it, news event, and then of course that acts as your inducement for the bigger channel. And boom, smashing downwards, going for the next inducement zone, equal lows in here. Again, was an inducement to lows suddenly here, bigger picture, now it becomes equal lows. Getting induced, what's the extreme mitigation? Right here, huge speed, vector candles into it. Again, taps in 2 times even, first, second. Right, now you have your internal break of structures in here. Perfect, activates this zone as we have this little imbalances after break of structure, and boom, taps into it, good to go. And that's, you can see, the cycles all over repeat itself. Cycle into cycle into cycle. So the next time you will speak to your neighbor, you will look like this. It's like all around a cycle. That is how they keep the cycle and this wheel spinning all over and over again, on how to induce these retailers over and over again. It's all about these cycles. Keep them spinning, spinning, spinning. But guess what? We have unlimited more examples, because it's every single day. It is the same stuff. It's just sometimes more hard to spot. Sometimes it's very easy to spot. So let's take a look at another one. And we will keep going where we have ended. So the last day was the 6th of April. So we had the 4th, 5th, 6th. Now we will not cherry pick a different day to make it all Mona Lisa day and blah, blah, blah. No, see, we just not even cherry picking anything. We just using these days consecutive as they come. So 4th, 5th, 6th, now we're on to the 7th. So where are the build-ups in this scenario in hindsight? You should see that right away. Boom, easy to see, okay? So we have our bigger intraday build-up. Again, this is the build-up that gets induced for the whole day with what? Vector candles to the absolute minute. Again, what a surprise. Only like 5 consecutive days in a row. Of course, the cycle variations are looking a little bit different. But guess what? We had an inducement low the day earlier. And of course, to the minute in Frankfurt Open. Now we're having inducement high to the absolute minute in London Open. To do what? Taking out Asia low. Does it click already? Of course, not every day will look exactly like that. But that's where we dig into week 3. Into cycle variations also, because there's a few cycle variations you have to keep in mind, and then you will be ready for equipped to everything. Okay, so be aware now. And of course, in this scenario, in this example, we have just a Mona Lisa London cycle in here. So we see our bigger channel buildup. We see our buildups inside here with the equal highs, equal lows, right? We see our vector candles. We see our next channel buildup. Then what else? We see our equal highs, equal lows. We see the build up in here, the channel in here, and this channel in here. Okay, so as you already can see, what type of liquidity do we need? We need channels, equal highs, equal lows, and that's about it. You see, you don't need to understand retailers to an extent where you think like, oh my God, I don't understand what retailers do. You don't need to. It's good that you don't understand. You just need to understand what a channel and equal lows is and equal highs. And then you will see that's all we need. We have channels, equal highs, equal lows, channels, equal highs, equal lows, channels, channels. That's the most efficient ways to do it, okay? Channel buildups are the most efficient way of identifying liquidity, okay? So as we're having our buildups, what's the next approach? The next factory approach, where are the inducements? Based on the buildups, you always get the inducements, okay? So let's add it, boom, next factory in here, right? Or next machine. So guess what? This buildup hasn't been induced. Yes or no? If you say yes, that's partially correct. It induced it to the high side, okay, but what is this inducement? Is it an inducement or is it a buildup? As you can see, this is more like a buildup, building up channel, right? And of course, yes, could be a Frankfurt plane here, but guess what? See the buildup to not get confused. Buildup, where does the buildup getting induced? To low side. Yes, to low side, and then guess what? Tubes into London Open to the absolute minute. Huge vector candles. That's the stuff you look for. Like not like, oh, is that an inducement? No, it's a build-up. Induced to low side now into the tube. And again, if you're more getting experienced, that's the trade you literally take and the buys in here, right? Boom. Tubes into it, and then you close it somewhere in here. Again, depending on what's going on to the left. If you have some sort of liquidity targets, or if you have some sort of whatever, a 1 hour, whatever, 15 minutes mitigation area of imbalances, both works depending on what's going on to left, right? But then, of course, these are the juicy trades you're looking for. Then, as you can see here, equal highs, equal lows. Has the equal highs being induced? No, I don't have them induced. Has the equal lows being induced in here? Yes. What's also so juicy about that? Have you taken out Asia low with this triple bottom in here? No. So what is so juicy about that? Build up, inducement of this channel build up. Yes, and now the thing's coming into place where a few people might get confused because what about this equal highs? The triple top shouldn't that get taken out as well? Yes, but we had a build up before that, so it takes out this build up first, gets for next liquidity cycle, takes out Asia low, next build up induces this one, okay, to the high side now, so we can expect some pullback here. The day is over anyways, then we can expect whatever next day and then take out this equalize. It's all about a build up, bigger picture places. So look for the next cycle that is confirming right now. Yes, we had equal highs in here, triple tops, whatever. Perfect. But guess what? Now they're showing us the channel build up and this channel build up being induced. Build up, inducement into what? And then you wait for what? It's all stuff you should know. Okay, perfect. Right? So guess what? Next machine approach. Where are the relevant breaker structures to make the picture even clearer? Boom. Next machine's getting in place. So guess what? We have this build-up inducement, so we're not looking for any relevant breaker structures, right? But now we have this inducement low. Okay, leads to the huge tube that induces first of all this huge channel build-up to the high side, and then the only breaker structure in the 5 minute is here. Again, this is the push that led to the high. Of course, maybe on the 1 minute you will find something in here. You will have multiple confluences later to take these trades in these areas as well, but that's like 1 minute stuff. We will not dig into this for now. I just want you to understand the bigger picture plays all over and over and over again. For now, this is our relevant breaker structure in here. And again, we don't have anything inside these buildups until what? This push led to an inducement. This is the push that led to the inducement. Gets broken here. So that reactivates the zone. Right? The only thing is you have to be really careful about that because again, now this push, of course, is the major inducement or the major inducement for the day. Of course, it's just a medium inducement overall, or even could be a minor inducement depending if this is the only thing that induces. But again, if it's something induced to the left also, it can turn into a medium one, but just looking at this day, on hindsight, obviously, this is the major inducement for the low side. This is the major inducement for the high side. But of course, on the bigger picture, there's both or minor inducements depending on what's going on to the left and the previous days, right? But for this bigger picture, yes, this is your significant inducement and also this one, right? Perfect, right? So the moment, obviously, this makes the inducement to the high side, you would be very, very, very interested into this sell. Of course, if it takes out this low after that, that's not so much more juicy, but just for argument's sake, if it pulls back in here and then gives you this zone, oh my God, you have to jump straight head first into this trade and taking out the inducement, right? Perfect, right? And then after that, we just have this channel build up getting induced to the high side now. So we can look for a little bit more shorts and then of course into some buys later on, right? But of course, always depending on what's going on the next day. So after the break of structures, where are the mitigations? And now, as you can see, you don't cherry pick any days. So you can see, okay, this mitigation zone got missed. Oh, okay, it's fine, got missed. What about big deal about it? This mitigation zone, yes, got tapped in, but after the inducement, so not ideal, definitely tradable, but not ideal. Then we had this inducement after, of course, this is the inducement of the day, leaves the imbalances, gives some sort of internal break of structures depending on how you see it on the 1 minute, blah, blah, blah. Comes back, taps it into it. But of course, as we had this inducement on high first, right? So we want for the build up, wait for the build up, gets into the build up. Where does the build up getting induced? To the high side. So now we can look for something like this, right? But of course, this is all stuff which is way too late for the day anyways. And the only trade you should be interested in is before London close, this line in here, which you also will get the template to you not have to draw anything of this. You will get this box, of course, this box, this one, like this one, this one. You will all get these timing indicators, of course, and much more later on. So you don't need to worry about the timing aspects. It will all be visible for you. Very simple. But as you can just look at this day, then keep one thing in mind. Even if the build-ups and inducements are clearly visible, sometimes you just don't get the clean mitigation on the M5. That's why we use multiple time frame approaches, and we will enter it always on the 1 minute, right? So just again, if you take a look at this day, it's a very clean day in terms of the build-up, inducement, mitigation things. But the only thing which is not so clean is the mitigation cycle, right? So again, we didn't really have nice entry in here, maybe in 1 minute, of course. Didn't have the nicest entry here on the 1 minute, of course. Then, of course, this is just a build-up sideways action. And then this one wasn't that. And also, we only could look for something here in the 1 minute, of course. But then the rest of the day is just a little bit messy and doesn't give you the cleanest place on the M5, and the day is over anyways. Okay, so keep that in mind, that your first task is just to see the bigger picture. And even if it's not that clean, maybe for the mitigation side on the M5, it's completely fine. It's very important for you to see the bigger picture cycles, and then you can dig down into the lower time frames and can use higher time frames and combine both of them, or all three of them, the M5, the M1, and higher time frames. And that's where the true power comes from, right? So the most important takeaway for now, see the overall cycles, identify the build-ups properly. Again, that's the first and only challenge, actually, to identify the build-ups, because with the build-ups, it will follow the inducements. With the inducements, it will follow the break of structures. With the break of structures, it activates your mitigation zones. And you will have a very clean orientation for the overall daily plays. Okay, it will be very, very easy for you to identify what's going on. So that alone will keep you away from forcing any setup once and for all, and from stopping you, and will stop you from making shit up, because you always will follow the same approach, always starting with the build up. You look for inducement, after inducement, look for break of structure, and only then you look for mitigation. If you just follow these steps, it would be very hard for you to make shit up. The only challenge is to identify the build up properly. So that's why you have to practice. And you will see also a few days will not be that clean. That's where the only challenge comes from identifying the build-up. So let's see another day where we have, again, we don't cherry pick any new day. We keep our streak going. We had the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Now we taking the 8th. Okay. And as you already can see, oh, this cycle looks a little bit different now. Obviously, we'll dig into what the cycle variation is, but maybe be like, oh, what the hell is going on here now? So could we actually even trade that? The answer is 100%. We just easily can use the simplicity approach. So let's bring some light into the tunnel. Where are the buildups? Boom. Okay. Walk it in you with your mind now. See the buildups. Again, don't make like crazy buildups in here and stuff like that. Right? You could definitely, but that's like more for the later purpose, right? So see now the clean buildups. And yes, 100%, you could make this one as well. And guess what it did? It induced it to the high side. What a surprise to go lower. What a surprise, right? So just for argument's sake, I just left this one out for now, because this obviously isn't the nicest one, right? So, but all the rest should be very clean to you, right? Very clean. We had this huge channel downwards, equal highs with equal lows, little channel in here, right? This channel getting tubed to a low side, building up the new channel, equal highs, equal lows, new channel. Again, the only channel which is important to see but not clean to mark up is this one in here, right? So you have to see this channel with your eyes, getting induced to the high side to go, of course, lower. That's where the understanding of the channel inducements come into place. And you can have a channel like this, getting induced high to go lower, or you can have a channel like this, getting induced low to go higher. Right? Guess what we have? Channel getting induced high to go what? Lower. Channel get induced high to go what? Lower. You see? Channel getting induced in what direction? High to go lower. Channel getting induced what? Low to go higher. You see? Channel getting induced in which direction? Low to do what? Higher. Channel getting induced high to go what? Lower. But the day is over. Right? So technically, yeah, that's the day over. And we will not be interested in that later. Again, the last timing window you'll be interested is like London close, these areas, and then this, we just leave that because this is where liquidity leaves the market. That's where, yeah, we're not too interested. Enigma needs a break. Of course, no break, but just narrows it down a little bit. And the cleaner pictures, you can see the moves all happen inside these Frankfurt and until London close window. Okay, that's where the key windows we're focusing on. So based on the build-ups, I already spoiled a little bit. Where are the inducements? And guess what? We're having our factory getting extended. Boom! From the build-up into the inducement. All right, we already covered it. Channel being induced. That's the next structure point. Getting induced here. Perfect. Channel getting induced high. That's the new structure point. Getting induced. Perfect. This channel, of course, we didn't draw it, but of course, getting induced. There's the next structure point here. Perfect. Getting induced also. Next equal highs, equal lows channel. There's the new structure point in here. Getting induced to the high side. Next channel induces with speed, and this black line just represents that there was something to the left, probably like something like this, whatever, and this just getting smoked, right? And then this is then the medium inducement, right? So this line just represents there was something to the left. Medium inducement, we want to trade away from that now, right? Gives us the next channel, gives us the equal highs, equal lows, induced into it. That's the structure point that get induced to low side. What is this? What is a price? Induce the channel, right? Also this channel. Here's the next channel build up to the high side, little vector candle to the high side, induces the structure, obviously. Next build up induces the structure. Lovely. See? Everything! Literally everything here completely rule-based. What's the next point? Relevant break of structure. We extend our factory once again. Boom. Look how far we are already. That's just 3 points. We will have so much more. All right. So, and we already can see, again, now a little bonus question. When does this shit happen? All right. Before we even dig into the relevant break of structures, just a bonus question on the sides. Frankfurt Open to the minute, 5 minutes short. Should be 8 a.m. It's 7:55. Oh, right. Not to the minute. Doesn't work. London Open just gives a fake pullback, right? Perfectly fine. But you can understand at least that this is a build-up that should get induced at some point, right? The experienced traders of us, of course, we take the buys in here, right? Then we look for the next structure point that's induced also the channel, inducement high to go what? Lower, perfect. Build up, equal highs, little channel in here, gets induced to the high side, stays inside here, of course. And does it happen? Oh, only magic manipulation minutes 2 to the minute, right? Then next build up, boom. When does it get induced? Only New York trap time to the minute, right? And then next build up in here. Obviously, that's very late, so no timings in here again. Okay, perfectly fine. So, where are the relevant break of structures? We already had it, right? So, inducement high of this channel. That's the push that led to it. Breaks here. Perfect. Okay. Next build up. Where's the structure point? Even gives equal highs, faking it, getting induced. That's the push that led to the inducement. Here's a break of structure. That's the push that led to the inducement of speed. That's your break of structure. Again, right? Just for the inducement break of structure, right? Not for you taking a random buy in here. I think that's why you have to look to the left for liquidity as well at some point. Plus, have to understand, okay, bigger picture channel getting induced to the high side. We had a liquidity target down there. Induce the channel to the high side. I wait for a next build up. The moment the next build up gets induced, we wait for what? Break of structure activates this zone. Unfortunately for us, got missed here, and then it would choop down. It is what it is, but at least we can clearly understand what's going on. Next channel, getting induced with speed. Now finally here's the liquidity target. Vector candles to downside. Now again, this what we had in here for the inducement high to go lower. Now acts as a proper break of structure point because we had our medium inducement. That's the push that led to it. Gets break of structure. Activates the zone. Unfortunately missed the 5-minute one. Definitely sure there was something on a 1 minute in here, which we could have get into here as well. We will have a lot more confluences, obviously, later on. Then what we had, build up, inducement. That's the push that led to the inducement. Here's a break of structure, activates the zone, right? Then build up, inducement of this point using channel. That's your push, and of course you could take something like this, but that's the day was over, so that's not your ideal trade to take. You should stay out of that because the day is just over and you don't want to mess with low liquidity and stuff like that. Okay, but just for understanding purposes, that's definitely possible. So to finish our first simplicity as example at this stage is where are the mitigations? Boom. And as you already can see here in this beautiful factory, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. It's definitely not over yet. Okay, we will extend this factory much more, right? So, but for now, where are the mitigations? What is the price? After the break of structure, activates our proper mitigation zone, gets tapped in. Lovely trade, right? After this inducement, break of structure, activates the zone, missed. Okay, we'll not cry about it. There would be absolutely a Mona Lisa trade in here if it takes you downside, but just missed by a little bit on the 5-minute. Okay. The next one, this break of structure in here was valid until it obviously builds up liquidity, gives the next inducement, gets smart money trap after that. Just for argument's sake, again, it takes out this one, comes back immediately. You can take it to the high side, at least for pullback trades, but that's something you should be very careful anyways. If this one didn't grab any liquidity and you have liquidity targets lower, but we obviously will dig into that if you look at multiple time frame approaches as well, right? For now, just see this build up as well into inducement, break of structure, activates the zone, missed unfortunately 5 minutes. Okay, nothing to cry about. Definitely some other opportunities when we dig into a lower time frame and actually look at entries as well. But for the bigger picture understanding, that's the Mona Lisa zone, that's the Mona Lisa zone, both got missed on the 5 minute, nothing to cry about. Same thing as this one, extreme mitigation here on the 5 minute, just got missed. Completely fine, that's why we look at the 1 minute and we'll definitely find some entries in here as well after break of structure. Then we have this minor plays in here, equal lows, inducement. First of all, into this mitigation. Again, this is juicy because we have this channel. That's the inducement of this bigger channel and this smaller equal low. So that's a double build-up, double trouble in here, perfectly stuffed right into the mitigation. Left imbalances also here and here. That's your point of interest, taps into it. That's your first trade. If you want to wait for more confirmations, that's your break of structure, imbalances. That's your POI, boom. Take it from here on. Order flow from here. Until what? Vector candle. Again, why is it a vector candle? Because it's relatively very large in comparison to all the other candles in here. Into the inducement, and guess what? Into another mitigation point. Next build up, inducement, and that technically would be your point, but that's too late, so stay away from that. Okay? Easy stuff! And so clean! You should be sitting here like, oh, you should realize how clean and structured trading can actually be. Just think about it. Where you came from and how you already can see the markets. Isn't that freaking crazy? You already can see literally every push they do. And you at least understand what's going on. Of course, there's a few zones that get missed. Oh, okay. But guess what? The whole day, you can understand what they did. Isn't that freaking crazy? Okay, and guess what? It's week 2. It is week 2. Oh my God. Insane. Right? So there's so much more to come. So we will do one more example. Let's make a new video about that because we're already like 45 minutes in. So get some break, refresh what we did so far, and we will cover a few more examples to literally get it into your brain. But for now, just whatever, let it sink in, mark up a few charts, and then go to the next examples for even more confirmations. Okay? Have fun. Back testing the stuff. Absolutely beautiful. Get used to it because you will see that will change everything. Okay? So do your tasks, do some back testing, go to charts, mark it up, find your build-ups, induce some mitigations, mark it up, get used to it, and then we will have some more examples to even solidify everything else.